This is Brad Marchand, and you're listening to Breaking the Ice with Josh Dolan. I don't think he would ever let a pizza get out the door before he buried the whole thing, so he likes to eat that kid.
What's going on, Brian?
We are anxiously awaiting the last of the snow to melt. It's going to get real busy real quick. Everyone's going to list all at once this year.
So to start this off, this is Brian Carpenter. He is the owner. You own the shit, right?
Yep.
Just making sure. You sure you own the shit?
I'm almost positive.
Check the paperwork. One Worcester Homes, and One Worcester Homes is the newest sponsor. I'm not really sure why you sponsor this because this is fucking garbage, but Breaking the Ice podcast. Good for you, man.
Happy to be here.
What brought you to us? What the hell? What do you want us to sell homes for you? We can do it.
Yeah, I think that's the plan. I mean, if you don't, I can't stay around very long.
This is true. Josh, you and your wife need to buy a house one of these days.
Let's go. we were looking, and we got distracted with the whole baby thing, but now we definitely need to get back to looking. So we will be using One Worcester Homes to look for our house.
I was gonna say I know a guy. It's that guy down there. He can do it.
I think so.
Well, you were actually working with one of our best agents. You were out with Maddie before you had the baby, right?
Yep. Matt Filippo, right?
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, he was great because the buying of a house process is so confusing. There's so many words that we didn't even know, and he was like walking us through everything, and it was crazy because like I was thinking going into it, I was like, oh, it's going to be like a used car salesman, but Matt was like, we would show up to a house and he'd be like, don't buy this.
Yeah, and a lot of times the industry is like that. I mean, it's definitely not uncommon to people to think that, or even for it to happen. I've actually, in the past, we've hired car salesmen to come on as real estate agents, and it doesn't work because their focus is getting that paper signed. Their focus is closing that deal. I don't want my people to care if you buy this house or that house 6 months from now. As long as we treat you right, you're going to buy a house. It doesn't matter when. Our job is protection, not sales. And sometimes people from the furniture industry or the car industry or even insurance industries where it's a hard close today, sometimes they just don't make it in real estate because they close those first couple deals and everybody hates them. You know, they don't get any referrals. Nobody wants to talk to them ever again.
Yeah,
so we
it's
try to
not
avoid
good
that
long-term business.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
No, it is a long-term business too, Josh. You're the perfect. I can talk, and I'll get into the years of real estate that I've done in buying and selling. But Josh, you and your wife are at a point. You don't have a home. You rent now, and you just said it. You're like, it's a confusing process. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of things, and then there are going to be places that make that process even more difficult. Advantage them, and I'm thinking, basically knowing you now, Brian, and having talked to you a number of times and getting to know your brand. One Worcester Homes is not about that bullshit.
Yeah, we try to put everything, the most important thing an agent can do is build a team around them. We actually went so far as to create a mortgage company. So we've got One Worcester Loans, works with One Worcester Homes. We've got some of the best lawyers and insurance companies and things in the industry, basically at our beck and call because we give them so much business. And it's just really nice to have that team that we build around our buyers so they don't have to use the phone book to go find someone who's not going to do a good job.
You just dated yourself. You said phone book.
Yeah, I'm old.
I mean, they still send those out though, right? I mean,
they probably exist somewhere.
Well, I think that they use them as like booster seats in restaurants for kids when the kids are too short.
Exactly.
Stack them up.
You grab a lawyer off of Google, they might be doing divorces on Monday and foreclosures on Tuesday and your real estate on Wednesday. But if you need something on Tuesday when they're spending the day in court, you're in trouble. You need a real estate attorney. You need someone who's focused on residential sales. You got to build a team around you and not be using Google to try to pick people.
Josh has been looking for a home for some time. Obviously, just had a baby, him and his wife. So, but Josh, from your point of view, how daunting does it look like when you're thinking about spending hundreds of thousands of dollars? I mean, what are your fears going into it?
I mean, well, just listening from like listening to the news and like just looking at it, it just seems like there's a huge mountain to climb in front of us. And
Right.
especially with the news being like saying that this is the lowest inventory, and like this is, especially if you're a first time home buyer, you're not going to get a house unless you're paying cash. And it definitely seems scary, but it was scary before too, before the pandemic, when we were looking for a house before we had the baby. And all that, like talking to Matt and having them walk us through the process, it definitely relieves some of that anxiety, but it definitely seems like a pretty steep hill to climb. But that's also just, that's all the noise.
Right, right. How do you avoid that, Brian? So Brian is the owner. If you're just joining us now, he's the owner of our newest sponsor of Breaking the Ice podcast, One Worcester Homes. How do you deal with those, those fears, those objections from people going, I don't want to do this. This is scary. I listen to the news. It sounds like, how do you deal with that on a daily basis?
So first and foremost, as long as the interest rates are under 4.5%, under 5%, it's the time. Rents are going up at an unprecedented rate. Every time your lease comes up, they're going to be throwing a couple $100 on there. When you sign up for a mortgage, it's the same for 30 years unless you decide to change it. So it's stable. You're obviously not going to stay at the same rent for the next even 2 years, never mind 30. Right. So it's a stable option. It's probably not any more expensive. And as long as you're working with local people, you're going to get your offer accepted. It might take a couple tries. It's a tighter inventory situation now than normal. But if you come out with a national lender that you're calling an 800 number to talk to, the listing agent and the seller don't want to deal with you. If they say, hey, here's this lender, I know them, I've worked with them before, I know this company, this real estate company, I've seen their office before, it is so much easier to get your offer accepted when you have these relationships locally.
Yeah, and the other thing that made me feel more confident when we started looking for a house with you guys is, like I was saying, that Matt wasn't salesy at all. Like literally, like that's how real estate agents make money, is off like the sale of a house. But he was literally like, we would show up and he'd be like, don't even think about this one. It was like he was more focused on like finding what was a good house for us in our situation, in our budget, and not being like, come on, just make the offer.
Well, it's the biggest purchase that you're going to make in life, or we're going to make in our lives. And if you have that shitty car salesman, again, nothing against car salespeople, because I've got a lot of friends that are good in that space, that perceived notion of the used car salesperson, and you get someone into something that's bad, that's long-term bad, right? Get them into something good that's long-term good. Well, then the kids are going to do it, or the friends are going to do it. And you're going to, it's just, dude, you're in this thing for 30 years. Don't lock me into junk, which is good. So it sounds like One Worcester Homes. And I've watched a lot of your stuff online since you become a sponsor of the BTI podcast. You guys focus a lot on training. Talk about that.
Yeah. One of the coolest trainings we do, I shouldn't say cool, it's actually completely disgusting. We take our newest agents, and we go through the whole MLS, and we find the 4 or 5 nastiest houses in the area. We're talking fuzzy walls, black mold, water leaks, holes in the ceiling going,
Those
sometimes
places don't exist. How dare you?
Oh, they're disgusting. You can usually smell them right through the picture.
Right.
But
this place has rats, agents. Definitely.
Yeah. Every once in a while you find something if you name it, it's not so scary,
Right.
But we take these agents out to these terrible houses. You find everything that can go wrong. You find bats, you find mold, you find water in the basement, you find no heat in certain rooms.
Homeless person in the bathtub.
There's never one homeless person in a bathtub. If you find one, there's at least 3.
It's a community thing, community effort.
Yeah, I've walked into a house before, and you just hear people start to scatter.
What the fuck?
You kindly close the door and go the other way and tell your clients not to buy this house.
I think we just interrupted a meeting.
Right.
Yeah, it wasn't AA.
This is right. I was gonna say, this is definitely not NA or AA. This is fucking, we're in here getting shit faced sleeping.
Yeah. And for whatever reason, they refuse to use a toilet, even though there's 3 of them in the house.
Oh, okay. There's the whole promo for One Worcester Homes. We avoid what you just heard. OneWorcesterHomes.com.
So we take them out to these nasty houses. We identify everything we can possibly find wrong with them. And then when they go to a normal house, they recognize these things and say, I saw this before. this is mold. I saw this before. This is a bad heating system. I saw this before. This is a dangerous electrical box. And by being able to identify those things, we separate ourselves from our competition.
Well, it's like boot camp. You're putting them through boot camp. You want to take them out and you want people, that's what they're selling. If you don't know what you're selling and you can't identify, and I'll get into some of the things that I've been able to do buying and selling. Like I've learned so much over the years that you're looking at everything from the foundation right up through the wall. Where has there been water, roof, the heating system, all the things. And you got to get in the nooks and crannies too. Otherwise, if people can mask shit, which is scary too, they really can. It's like, oh, what's that crack in the foundation? Oh, that's nothing. Oh, I don't know. The foundation just holds the house up, jackass. Really? And stupid shit like that.
Especially now, a lot of people don't know there's a new issue with foundations. It used to be just in Connecticut, but it's now creeping into especially the Charlton area, where there's a lot of foundations that came from a bad quarry, and the foundations are actually crumbling right underneath the house, and it's anywhere between $150,000 to $200,000 worth of damage. And we know what to look for, but do other people?
And will other people share that with? That's the thing. That's the part about any sales relationship is really, it should be that. It should be a relationship. But we all know it's not always the case. Like Josh said, people are trying to just get the ink on the paper. How you doing? I think the shittiest thing is if you do that with a home, that's a 30-year ink on the paper. Now the foundation's jacked up. Things could fall down. Mold. Oh my God. You can't even, that's just bad business. And it sounds like One Worcester Homes is the polar opposite. So you're a unique firm that when Josh told me that you were on, I was like, all right, this guy's cool. And you and I had the first conversation you and I were busting balls, talking old WAF shit. You were a fan of the station. And so I'm like, this guy's cool. And then I see all your posts on Facebook. I love it. You're filterless, but you're like, hey, let's go. I'm trying to help you out.
I'm actually not filterless. The Facebook is my filter. People who can't joke, people who can't have a good time, I don't want them in my office. I let my Facebook scare them away.
Well, that's what I mean. You shouldn't. I'm the same way. It's like, I'm going to say what I like. And if you don't, then don't come in. We don't give a shit. So you've got places. One Worcester Homes has Massachusetts, Florida, Rhode Island, Connecticut, and New Hampshire. So those are your 5 kind of pillars of focus. I said Florida.
Oh, you did? Oh,
Josh hasn't slept in a week because his baby's been sick.
Nice. So yeah, Florida's a new one. Florida, we're hoping to get the snowbirds from here that go down there for 3 or 4 months and they work for 2 different brokerages. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. We'd love to have them work for just one brokerage.
That's awesome. Favorite drink?
You know what? You guys, I'll let you guys have at me, but I'm a Truly or White Claw guy. No heartburn.
Truly,
it's the only thing I can drink now and not get heartburn after. So I guess I'm dating myself again.
No, it's okay. It's okay, phone book. It's okay. We got you.
Yeah.
You know what's awesome? And I'm in the same thing. High Noons.
All right. I've seen them before. I haven't had one.
They're good.
I've seen all the girls at the parties drinking them.
Then I'm the girl on this fucking party drinking them. Okay. All right. You just said Truly. I said High Noon. We're going to battle in the girl drink. Who's going to mention Zima first?
I'm not that old.
Neither am I.
Sorry. I don't even know what that is.
Of course you know, because you were born yesterday, dude. Well, listen, man, we really appreciate you. We appreciate you sponsoring the Breaking the Ice podcast. Like, we're here to help any way we can. We joke around, but like on social media, we'll share your stuff. OneWorcesterHomes.com. People watching this, it's the biggest decision you're going to make, man. I've bought and sold a lot of homes, and there's a lot of shit out there that's scary. And I think, based on what I've learned about you, talking to you, I'm going to watch the process that you go through with Josh. We appreciate what you're doing for people, and we do appreciate you being definitely part of this show. So however we can help spread this shit, let us know, man.
And Brian,
I hope we don't screw up Josh's deal.
Yeah, dude, that would be the worst thing ever. It's like, hey, so this guy is the thing, and he brought us into one of those places where the homeless people shit on the floor. Awesome.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Diamond in the rough.
Now, Brian, for first-time home buyers like myself, I mean, me and my wife already started the process, but that was over a year ago, and then we had the baby, and then we took a vacation from that whole process. So now we're going to start again. The other people that are listening to this that haven't started the process, how would you recommend that they get the ball rolling? Because when we first started, I was like, I don't even know where to begin. Like we were
Mhm.
Googling houses and stuff, but I was like, do we walk into a real estate office or do we like, I was like, how do you even make the initial, like, okay, we're starting.
Yeah, education's number one, right? If you don't know what
Yep.
you're doing, you're going to make a bad decision. So we'll actually bring people in. We'll sit you down with a lender. We'll sit you down with an agent and go through the whole process, start to finish. And if something doesn't match up to that at some point, now at least you know to stop and ask questions. And the second most important thing is building your team. Make sure you've got your lender, your lawyer, your insurance company, everything, your inspector, all those things lined up, and you're not grabbing people off of Google, because one bad inspector or one bad insurance company, things can really affect the whole transaction. So putting together that team and letting your agent help you put together that team is a huge part of it. But education is always number one.
Right.
He makes a lot of sense there. He makes a lot of sense because you can think about, I thought about some deals I've done where you let somebody else do this. I've gotten to a point where I can get down to, look, I know who the attorney is. I know this. And just, you have to have the right people, because you'll get caught up in this. It takes time. Once you and Laura get into this process and you finding the home, that takes time. There's a lot of emotion in that. Then you actually find the place. Then you might be having kind of a pissing match with somebody else with who wants to do it. Okay, that's fine. You put an offer in, that offer is accepted. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Brian. That's kind of the beginning of the road, because you got to work with the right people that do just what you said. Make sure that everything is buttoned up from inspection to this to that. And the people that know the markets the best, like the markets by markets, I mean the towns and the homes and the structures and the owners and the other real estate agents, the better off.
The other agents are a big deal.
Big deal. Because if look, if Brian and his team are out there and they're just going in cold, it sucks. But they do things, this is kind of insider stuff. When houses go on the market or condos go on the market, they usually do an open house, right, Brian, for the agents.
Yeah,
So
and currently now they only really do one open house. And if you don't get there on time, if you don't see it, you might not get another chance to even see the property.
And that's for the agents. So the agents, all of it. So one Worcester Homes plus all of their competition, they come in, they're friendly. We see the place, we understand. So they can then go back and go do what they do. And so Brian and one Worcester Homes is a step above, because they take that knowledge and they'll say, okay, we've seen it. Like you said, Josh, don't go near it. It's not worth shit. Don't go. Or that's a good one. And I've asked the right questions and I'm going to help you through the process so that you're not buying a place where you're like, why does it smell like skunk in the wall?
Yeah, and getting in there quick is a big deal too. Availability is huge. Right. A lot of my agents actually partner up right now because the market's so tight. If something comes on the market Tuesday afternoon, we're going to see it Tuesday night. Because if we don't, somebody else might. So It's really important to move quickly. And if your agent's working a full-time job, or if your agent's just not available, doesn't answer your phone or texts, you can find yourself out of a house without even getting a chance to see it.
So fast, especially with the way the real estate market is now, with the low inventory. You're right. It's gone. It's like it's on. And I don't care how people search. If people search through Zillow, that's fine. However you look at things and you get your little red flag, when you see something like Zillow, that's cute, but you got to have the right real estate agent on top of that says, okay, you saw it. Let's get you in there. Now let's do our due diligence and do the right things. And if you're right, if you have, I experienced that a number of times over the years, Brian. It pissed me off, where it's like you've got somebody that's you think is representing you and you lose a deal because they're doing some other shit. Like, come on. Like a day goes by and you're like, well, because you were off playing footsie, doing whatever else you think you're doing, and you're doing real estate part-time. I don't want to work with a part-time real estate agent.
Yeah. And sometimes people will work with family that just do a couple deals a year. And we actually, for the most part, obviously there's exceptions to the rule, but we hire full-time agents.
Good.
Anyone that we hire needs to tell us that they want to be full-time in 90 days. It's really easy to lose an entire transaction, and worse, a client. It's one thing to miss a house, but sell them something else. But imagine losing that client and have them out there bad-mouthing you for months and years because you didn't do your job right and you cost them the property they really wanted. And I won't let that happen under my name. I won't hire agents that allow that to happen. And kind of my claim to fame, which I don't know if it's a good thing or not, but agents are all private contractors. I probably fired more agents than any other broker in the area.
That's all right.
But if I don't want you out under my name, if I'm embarrassed to have you wearing my logo, I have to move on from you. I can't work with you.
Good. There's your promo right there. Hold on. You're fired.
It's usually more like you have till Monday to find another broker. But
right,
yeah.
that's fine. That's fine. You're more than welcome to use the toilet paper until Monday, and then get the fuck out.
Yeah, I just if I don't want my name on their shirt, I don't want them selling for me.
That's awesome, man. So One Worcester Homes, awesome. We're super psyched to have you on the show. Thank you for sponsoring selling homes in Massachusetts, Florida, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New Hampshire. OneWorcesterHomes.com. We encourage you to go and have the conversation. If you're buying a house, if you're buying a condo, if you're buying a second home, investment property, whatever it is, you gotta have the right people representing you, because there's a lot of crazy shit going on these days with real estate, and everybody's distracted. Like Josh just said earlier on, there's so much noise. If you listen to, stop listening to the noise, stop listening to the media, and talk to people like Brian and his team at One Worcester Homes. And that's about as serious as I will ever be again. And now I'll go back to being a complete jackass.
But yeah, it really is the noise, because like before me and Laura started looking, we were like, well, there's no way we're ever going to get a house. And then after we talked to Matt, and then he set us up with the lender, and we talked to the lender, and then we were like, oh, we can do this. Like, we didn't even know we were.
Not only can I do it, but it's $200 less a month.
Yeah.
Hold on, Brian.
Towards something.
Put that picture back up. Go back to that picture.
What's that?
What picture?
You hit pause and there was something. Put that picture back up. Shut off your camera for a second. Look what comes up.
I didn't see anything.
No, I saw a glimpse of it. No, that's a picture of your bed. Awesome. You're doing this show in your bed. We appreciate that. Oh,
I don't see anything.
Oh, they made me dress up once.
How do you don't see that, Josh?
No, I don't.
Oh my God, you're blind. Look at him. He's like, you don't look homeless at all. You look like you're on Star Search back in the day.
Way back.
Hey, dude, thanks for coming on, man. We really appreciate it, and we're gonna keep pushing it. The number one, OneWorcesterHomes.com. These guys are servicing all real estate. They've got it all baked into their business right now. So they've got the brokers, they've got the lawyers, they've got the attention with the mortgage through Massachusetts, Florida, Rhode Island, Connecticut, and New Hampshire. So, dude, thank you for being on the show, and don't hold us to the stupid shit that we say on this podcast. Okay.
Oh, good, guys. Like I said, anything that I go through is a filtering system. So I appreciate the wildness and the crazy. It's gonna keep the uptight people away.
Good.
Exactly. We don't want uptight people.
We don't want them. All right. Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, guys.